Good morning, all. Mary Bulger here, naturalist with Iowa County Conservation, and I want to welcome you to our third virtual holiday nature craft. So today we're going to be making another acorn nature craft, learning a little bit about the oak tree again and some animals that live in and around the oak tree. And some of the benefits and things like that of having them in our habitats, in our yards. So yesterday we learned a little bit about how the oak tree is, of course, the acorn comes from the oak tree. That's kind of one of the common things that people know, that they produce little nuts like acorns. But one thing that is kind of not as well known is the variety of different types of oaks that are out there and the variety of acorns. So there can be small acorns like this one that comes from a pin oak, and medium-sized acorns like this one that comes from a white oak, or gigantic acorns like this one that comes from a red oak. And so the acorn comes apart kind of in two different pieces. There's a little cap like this, and then there's the actual nut like this. And we're going to be making another one of those nature crafts here in just a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit about the oak tree again, and how much diversity is and how beneficial they are to have in your habitat. So here's just an example of the variety of different types of oaks that we could possibly find here in Iowa. So many different leaf shapes and many different acorns, of course, too. And tree structures. They also will grow in different types of soils, so wet soils for some species and drier soils for others, or alkaline soils, so a little bit more acidic soils. So they're a pretty diverse tree and can grow in a diverse habitat depending on the type of oak tree you have here. So there are many different animals that live in and around oak trees. They provide lots of nutritious acorns and leaves for certain types of insects as well. So butterflies and moths will lay their eggs on the bark or on the leaves of trees, providing food for caterpillars, and then those caterpillars provide food for birds and other wildlife as well. So that's a benefit. But there are many different animals that will eat those acorns, and I just have some pictures of a few of them that I'm going to share with you today. So this one is probably the most common when we think about acorns. We think about that squirrel. So we have many different squirrels here in Iowa. The fox squirrel, which is this squirrel, and then we have the gray squirrel and many other types of ground squirrels. We'll look at another one in just a moment here. So squirrels love to forage for acorns and then store them in caches or hide them in different places for times when they can't find as much food. Another animal that will forage for acorns is the wild turkey. So wild turkeys live in forest habitat where there's lots of trees and oak trees, of course, and so they'll forage on the forest floors for those acorns. And one other animal, which is an omnivore, so meaning they eat both plants and animals, is the raccoon. So they'll eat things like acorns and berries, but also insects, small rodents, bird eggs, different things like that. Acorns is one of their things that they like to forage for. And then this cute little mammal, the chipmunk, another type of squirrel, much smaller ground squirrel. And even though this is a little guy, they will still forage and look for those acorns and then store them in caches or storage areas for, again, times when they can't find as much food. They also have big cheek pouches, which they can store food in when they're taking it back to their caches. And then deer, a large mammal that is a herbivore, so only eating plants. Acorns is something they love to forage for in the fall time. And then one last animal, the blue jay. The blue jay is a bird that sticks with us all year round. So in the fall and even the winter time, they will forage for acorns. Like the chipmunk, they also have cheek pouches that they can fit acorns in, up to 5 smallish acorns in their cheek pouches. And then they will take them to caches or storage areas for times when they can't find as much food. So blue jays as well. So if you are looking to plant some trees or diversify the trees that you have in your yard, maybe you need to replant one because you lost some in the derecho or lost one in the derecho, the storm this past summer, oak trees are a great choice. They're a little bit slow growing, but they're well worth it because they have long lives. They provide lots of habitat and food for wildlife if you want to attract that wildlife to your yard. They're also very beautiful. All right, so we're going to get to our holiday nature craft here with our acorn ornament. And so I have two different kind of varieties here. I have this kind of single hanging one. I have a double acorn here. You can see just painted the acorns. And then I have a multiple strand one, and I'm going to do an example of one similar to this. So acorns are totally painted and then kind of tied with this twine here. So a few supplies that you're going to be needing for this craft is craft paint, so acrylic paint like this. You're going to need something to attach, so some sort of string or twine. You're going to need the acorns, of course, right? And a paintbrush, okay? So I'm just going to start with painting my acorns. So the neat thing about this is you can actually use many different kinds of paint. So I'm just using green and red today because I kind of am partial to those colors this time of year. But some people like to use metallic paint, so some that are a little bit shiny or sparkly for this time of year, like silvers and golds, or even glittery types of paint, so you can use that as well. Again, you can paint the whole acorn, or you can just do the bottom of the acorn. It's totally up to you because it is your ornament. You can use your creativity here. I'm just going to paint the bottom of this one here. And wet my brush here and then paint the bottom of my red one. Also with this type of paint you can do more than one layer, so you'll want to allow it some time to dry a little bit and then go back and do another layer if you want to or not. Again, it's totally up to you what you're going to be doing here for your craft. So I'm going to set these aside because I have some that are already painted and finished. I painted the whole thing for all of these. And I'm going to do a similar craft to the one with the multiple acorns. So what you're going to do is take two strands, I'm going to do 4 acorns, that are about equal in length. I'm going to tie them about in the middle because then I'm going to tie the acorns to the ends, okay? So tie a knot in the middle so they kind of stay together. And then I'm going to start a knot here at the end, but not close it all the way because I want to attach my acorn. Just like this. Some people at this point like to use a little dab of glue to help keep that knot on there. I'm not going to use glue today, but you certainly can. And so tie that. And I'm alternating colors a little bit today. So red on the red and red on the green and green on the red. And then I'm going to tie my other one. Do a double knot here. All right, so that's kind of basically how you kind of get started with that one. Then trim those strings when you're finished tying. And then you'll be done with something like this that you can hang on your Christmas tree or hang in a certain area where you're decorating for the holidays. So, and that is our simple acorn craft here. If you are interested in getting some kits of some supplies, you can email me at mbulger@co.iowa.ia.us. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and put those in the comments or email me. I want to thank you for joining me and stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.